Welcome to Creating a Safer Workplace by MSC Direct, featuring the web series Nothing Stops U.S. Manufacturing. Conversations with safety professionals in the field. Here's your host, Anthony Testa.
Welcome to MSC series Nothing Stops U.S. Manufacturing. My name is Anthony Testa, and today I'll be speaking with a panel of experts about reopening America. So, panel, I want to talk about today how we look at the new processes for reopening manufacturing sites. So I want to talk about first what you think our manufacturers should be doing in terms of supply chain, how they should be going about managing it. And I know it's a little bit broad brushed, but Bruno, if I look at you and say, hey, how are you helping your customers today? What should be top of mind for them on how to manage this?
So from a customer perspective, I think the key point is having alternatives for products that we do have in stock, knowing what the customers are using those products for, and looking for solutions for items where you don't have some of those critical shortages. So something like a disposable glove, potentially switching them over to a nylon yarn engineered glove that they could reuse, launder, things of that nature. Something like a respirator. Where N95s are going to critical customers, providing some alternatives with some supplied air solutions or some items that necessarily may not meet all the specs of an N95.
And Sarah, so when we look at the same question to you, when you look at supply chain management and some of the challenges, what are some of the pieces that you're recommending to your customers to do? I mean, from an order pattern, is there any type of vending solution or VMI solution, or how are we presenting it?
I think one of the best things to help our customers manage the supply chain is to start a vendor managed inventory or a vending machine program where we can have the planned inventory that is needed on hand to maybe cover them for a week or 2 weeks as opposed to waiting for that next day delivery. So I think planning ahead and having the data and information about their usages really helps us to make sure that we can have what they need when they need it.
Several of my customers have had situations where they've needed to procure quite a few $100,000 worth of items so that they can weather the storm, so to speak, and be ready if there are shortages. What they're doing is they're centralizing their purchasing where they weren't centralized in the first place. So they're combining their buying power. They're working together to buy probably 50 times what they need and then distribute it to all 25 locations.
And Damon, I know we have recommended for some of our customers KN95s versus N95s, as that potential stopgap or that solution that our customers can use. Can you just talk a little bit about the differentiations between a KN95 and an N95?
The N95 is judged off or certified off an American standard. The KN95 is a Chinese standard. They're very close in terms of how they perform. So it depends on the need of the customer to where if we can determine what sort of respirator they would need, sometimes a KN95 would suffice.
Sarah, I heard you wanted to chime in.
Anthony, I wanted to say that we have some great resources available on our Better MRO website that will help you walk through the engineering administrative controls that you can put in place at your work site to show, we can eliminate the need, putting partitions up, recirculating air more frequently, wearing masks. But we have some great resources available. And also, working with your local resources, we can look at the specific guidelines provided state by state, or in some cases, county by county, or even just if the states don't have them, look at the CDC guidelines to see what we can do to better support the customers.
That is a great point. One of the pieces I know that we've had some, I don't want to say issues, but some customer concerns about that they've reached out to us is specific around hand sanitizer, right? So not just hand sanitizer. So let's call it N95 counterfeits, KN95 counterfeits, all those type of products that customers were coming to us to keep their facility open or to even open it, where they were coming to us and saying, hey, Mr. Safety Specialist, Mrs. Safety Specialist, can you help me understand how to really identify the true product?
I, a few years back had customers, turn around and getting safety glasses that weren't true safety glasses, but, even though it said ANSI on the side, come to find out, the manufacturer thought ANSI was a decoration. The defects, they weren't holding up. So we had to, we looked at the product a little closer and found that it was a knockoff. So you have to go back and educate the people who are bringing the product in-house, be it the tool crib attendant or the purchasing agent, what to look for.
Talk a little bit about innovation, about what else is out there that you've seen from a supply chain piece that is now making its way into the marketplace that before like the new normal, people wouldn't even think about.
One of the biggest innovations that I've seen come into the workplace is thermal imaging. As employees walk in, they can get scanned to see if they are above normal temperature. And if so, they're able to take proactive measures to protect their workplace.
One of the other things that we're seeing is, especially with transit, so buses, railways, and as well as hospitals, we're seeing a shift from traditional cleaning practices to more of a disinfecting and sanitizing. So we've had an increased demand for electrostatic sprayers, disinfectant sanitizers, things of that nature. So seeing a huge ramp up, especially with mass transit and hospitals. So that's one shift that a few months ago, it wasn't even a category we really played in. But now we're starting to see that shift.
We're quickly becoming experts in sanitation and how to sanitize an entire facility when we were concentrating solely on safety prior.
Yeah, that's a great point.
In a normal world, we're not using backpack sprayers in a machine shop to sanitize rollers, but in the world we're living in today, if there's an outbreak, you need to sanitize everything the best way you can. So I think that one of the things is that we provide a lot of options for our customers. And, I may not have had a customer that needed to use that, but one of my counterparts may have. And again, having that variety of products and being able to look at resources like the CDC and OSHA and see what their recommended procedures are, we're doing that every day. So, we're getting more comfortable with it as time progresses.
Let's talk a little bit about the manufacturing floor and what you are seeing in the way that we are now, again, with that social distancing piece, and it's hard to do, but what are some of the best practices that you're seeing that employees are implementing for workstations, work cells, specifically within manufacturing?
A lot of facilities, people share hand tools and they just pick up it's like a community property.
Right.
But I was on a webinar yesterday with Black & Decker, and that was one of their big initiatives that they've been pushing is, getting out to the facilities and saying, hey, I know that we have done this in the past and this has been kind of a community hand tool, but here's a good opportunity for everyone to have their own tools, their own area, and separate that out.
The hardest thing is a lot of these manufacturers, their equipment is not set on rollers. You can't move them around. So we need to be a little more creative. Instead of just putting somebody in a mask, like it was said before, maybe partitions, and they're going to have to get away from the shared workstations.
I've also seen other customers that are getting their own fall protection equipment instead of sharing it. Wow. So there's a lot of different ways, that could translate, instead of having to give my harness to the person after me, just giving me my own harness, and I'm responsible for making sure I inspect and take care of it and store it appropriately.
Hey, Sarah, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So MSC introduced a new product, a new service, a new software actually called SafetyMax, which is able to, it's a safety solution for our customers to use. Can you just go into about how that is working with the new normal and how they're able to use it and utilize it today?
I think what's great about SafetyMax in the current situation is we launched it right as all of this was happening. And you're able to have those users to manage the safety program, all the documentation. You can do that remotely. So if you're working at home and I'm working from home and everyone else is working from home, all of us can be able to add incidences and update, that we did training. If you have employees at home, this has been a great time to do training, and you can update that you did that training. You can keep your OSHA logs updated if you have any incidents, and you don't have to be specifically on site to do that. employees can report if there's, maybe on second shift, you don't have an EHS person available to be there right now because you're trying not to have so many people on site. So it's a great tool, and it's subscription based. It really is something you can sign up for and be online pretty quickly. And it just provides a lot of flexibility in the current environment to be able to do those things from home, from your laptop, from your cell phone, that maybe you would normally be managing through a binder on someone's desk.
Yeah, and it enables the, from any size customer, from the small all the way up to the large, to utilize this type of technology.
And changing a safety culture is probably the most difficult thing for an EHS professional to do. And what we have now is an entire country changing its safety culture.
That is so true.
It's extremely difficult, but using tools like SafetyMax, using tools like our MSC assessments and things like that is a way for us to assist our customers in changing that safety culture.
But also we need to always remember empathy with the customer, because we're going through the same thing they are.
That's a really good point. Good point. It's a whole new world, right? So this doing a safety audit or doing safety walkthroughs with your, being on an iPad, right? It's kind of
FaceTime.
On FaceTime, right? It's really weird. I mean, I've been on a couple of those thus far, but this is how things are going to start, progressing. So panel, I want to thank you again. This has been a great discussion. I appreciate everyone's time, and to everyone else, thank you very much for joining us today.
Follow us at mscdirect.com for future episodes and more information on operating in our new normal.